none other than Rod Woodson. How you been, Roderick?
I am doing good, Ricky Rich.
You're getting. I know you're.
How's everything going with you?
Everybody's good. I have too many children. You've got grandchildren. I miss talking to you. How's that for a quick update?
And I miss talking to you too, Rich.
Good. So you're going to be in Ohio coaching, a man who made his bones in Western Pennsylvania. But we all know you're an Indiana guy at heart, Rod. We all know deep down that you're an Indiana guy. And I want to start this off by saying, so did you ever have Ohio State knock on the door for you? Anybody around in the Midwest?
They did.
They did.
They did. The Ohio State, the recruiter did come, and he wouldn't leave me alone. Mm-hmm. And when I told him to give me a little break, he didn't give me a break, and then I told him Ohio State was off my list.
Because of that. Interesting.
Just because of that.
But I do know Bo Schembechler knocked on your door. Right, Rod? That happened?
I did. Yeah, Bo scared me, so that's the reason I didn't go to Michigan. He scared me. He was, like, very intimidating.
Yeah. What do you mean he scared you? What do you mean?
He was intimidating. You know, he had that big office. His desk was in the back of the office. And then when you walk in, you know, he doesn't even say anything until you get all the way up to the desk. And, you know, felt like you're just, like, walking down a Green Mile. You know, it felt very intimidating.
Actually, I don't mean to correct you. It's Amazing Blue Mile when it comes to that, Rod. But you knew that already.
I'm sorry.
You knew that already.
Yes.
Now, Indiana. This story I know. Okay, Indiana tried to recruit you, correct? When you were there.
Yes, they did.
And
yes, they did.
Tell me that story. Tell my listeners and viewers this story. This is very, very good.
Well, they were recruiting me back in 1983, and then at that time, Lee Corso was the head coach, and when he came to my door, I knew he was coming over. He came to my door, and he knocked on it. I opened it, and the first thing he said to me is, "Hey, I'm Lee Corso. I'm here on behalf of Indiana. I just learned I got fired, but I'm still here to talk about why you should go to Indiana." And I was like, "There is no way I'm gonna go to Indiana where they fire a coach over the radio."
But he still gave you the pitch for the Hoosiers, huh?
You know what? He's a stand-up man. He still gave me the pitch for the Hoosiers to go there. But that was, you know, firing a guy over the radio, and that's where he found it out. They didn't have cell phones back then, but you know, and letting that and hearing that on the radio, that was a hard one.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's because it's, and then we've got to tell this one. Tell me the Arizona State story. I've got radio affiliates all throughout the state of Arizona. I've got Arizona State fans who listen every single day.
I went to Arizona State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Arizona State was my last official visit, and I can't remember the gentleman who was my host when I went out there, but he asked me, you know, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, he asked me to go to a movie first, you know, like, and I said, oh yeah, sure, let's go to a movie.
Wait, hold on a minute.
So you show up? Gandhi.
Hold on. You showed up in Arizona State, and they wanted you to go to a movie. A kid from Indiana.
Well, it was kind of that in between time. So you know, we had dinner. You know, we were going to go somewhere later that night, and then he said, "Hey, why don't we go to the movie?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. Why not?" And he was like, "Hey, let's go see Gandhi." You know, I'm from Indiana. I don't know who Gandhi is. And at that point, I didn't know Gandhi was a 3.5-hour movie with an intermission. So we went to the movie and sat in there, sat through the intermission, got done. It was probably 11 o'clock by the time we got done. Mm-hmm. And I just, you know, I got up after we got out of the movie theater, and I just told him, I said, hey, just tell everybody I'm going to Purdue. I'm not coming here.
So you would have gone to Arizona State potentially had whoever was showing you around campus had not taken you to the movie theater to see the Richard Attenborough great Gandhi.
It was a great possibility because I love this place. I love the area. I love the landscape. It seemed like a great university. Mm-hmm. They had a pretty good football team. Just that movie Gandhi just didn't sit well with me, right?
Rod Woodson, Hall of Famer, and also the coach, if you will, not only for the Raiders, the assistant DB coach in Oakland, but also for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Coaching Academy, which we'll get to in a minute here on The Rich Eisen Show. I've brought you up a few times this week, Rod, in relation to officiating calls like the one with the Thunder and the Spurs. If you saw the end of the 13 seconds,
that was crazy.
I mean, there were like 5, 6. The NBA admitted they missed 5 calls in 13 seconds. Last night in hockey, in overtime, there was a controversial call by the officials in that game that the San Jose Sharks thought cost them a game. And I keep telling them the story, the folks who watch and consume the show, listen to this show, the story that you say that Chuck Noll would always tell the Steelers before playing a game, Rod, about the officials.
No, he always said you got to outplay the officials.
He would say that every single time, right?
Yeah, every, going to the games, we'll start complaining and whatnot, and he'll say, hey, guys, you got to outplay the officials' calls.
And if
you're playing bad football, Rich, and think about it, if you play bad football or bad sport, whatever sport it might be, if you're just playing bad, at the end of the day, you always kind of find a way to bring a call here or there into it. But if you're playing really good and you win, you don't care about the calls. You don't care if they go for you or against you. You won the game anyway. So, his mindset was like, hey, just outplay the officials' calls. And if you do that, you don't have to worry about it.
So did you buy that, though? Did the players buy into that?
We did. We weren't that good. We bought into it, at that point. So we weren't going to the playoffs or anything like that many times under Chuck Noll. But I think we all understood the point.
Do you say that to your Chargers right now in Oakland? Do you mention that to them?
I do not.
How much Chuck Noll is in you, Rod,
but
is essentially what I'm saying.
You know what? But I'm glad you brought it up because I really haven't thought about it. So when I do go back and the officials do come for, they'll come through the mini camps and whatnot, I will say that.
Look at this now. See, I'm making you a better coach just by talking to you, Rod.
You are. And I appreciate that. You are a good man, Rich.
Is there anything else you want to work through with your coaching philosophy and your coaching ideas? Certainly now that the Hall of Fame's getting in this gig. This is pretty fascinating. Where did this come from?
Well, Rich McGinnis used to have some football camps, and he kind of paired up with the Hall of Fame, and they bought this camp called the Hall to the Call camps. And it's at Pro Football Hall of Fame Academy.com. And what it is, Rich, there's a lot of high school football camps around the country. We all know that. And most of those camps, talking about rivals and whatnot, they're for the 5-star, 4-star athletes. And the reason I want to get involved because the way this is set up, any player, it can be a 1-star, it can be a no-star, it can be a guy who just sends in his video to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Academy.com. And he's going to explain why he should get accepted, why he should come to this camp. And then we're going to choose those guys because it kind of reminds me of my son, Rich. My son played high school football, but he played in a small school here in California. And he had to go to different college campuses last year and go to their camps just to show that he can play. And they saw he could play, and then he eventually got a scholarship. But if it wasn't for that, he wasn't on the radar for rivals. He wasn't on the radar for any of those bigger camps. Just for the fact he went to a small school. So we're trying to eliminate all that and give that opening for all these small school players, but even the 5-star and 4-star players too. And, what better place, think about it, Rich, what better place is to have a football camp than where the best players in the history of pro football is enshrined in Canton. They're doing the new Hall of Fame Village, a new stadium, trying to get a hotel down there and everything. It's going to be wonderful, but I think the key for it is that we're going to kind of bring the new school technology to the kids. They're going to get 4 days, 22 hours of coaching on and off the field. And then, we're going to do the standard night testing and all that stuff, but then we're going to start bringing into kind of the new school football, kind of into some of the things our guys are doing from the NFL and major college programs and bring it to these kids. And talking about 3D glasses, Rich, you can watch a play and then the play will stop, and then you got to figure out what happened after the play, after it stopped. And so we're going to do something like that.
And you're going to be out there. Who are some other of the coaches that are going to be part of this academy for kids all over the country to get to Canton for a 4-day symposium slash?
It's a wide variety, but the other head person, Chuck Bresnahan, who was the defensive coordinator for quite a long time in the National Football League and recently in college. He's going to be there. We're going to have some ex-players there. And then, they're going to learn from the best. And I think the great thing is we're trying to get back to the traditional integrity of the game. A lot of times I think these kids this new millennium they love being on their Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff, which is great. But we're going to try to show them how to be a pro on and off the field, and hopefully that'll resonate with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, well, maybe they saw Tunsil's video. Right, Rod? What'd you think of that one?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's sad that whoever did it on the day of the draft. They knew what they were doing. Very egregious. It was awful to see that. But then again, on his part, why would you film yourself? I mean, you're doing something wrong, but then you film yourself to do it. I mean, that's a head scratcher.
So
that is a head scratcher. And then
yeah,
you have it there where somebody can, whatever they did to get into your account, but then put that for the rest of the world to see. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, the whole thing didn't make sense to me. And then, but it is, as you point out, a cautionary tale. And then that's why you got to surround yourself with character guys, people like yourself. And the guy who you always jokingly referred to as your cousin when we were working together in Charles, no longer in your DB room. What are you going to miss with Charles gone?
His leadership. One thing, when I first met Charles Woodson, I was playing with him back in 2002, and Wood was a tremendous athlete. But when he came back to Oakland, and I came back as a coach, Wood, he'd grown up so much, and he really became a really good leader, and understanding how tough he was. Because Wood his shoulder, he had a messed up shoulder, he had a messed up knee. Wood didn't miss a practice, really. He was in every game for us. If he wasn't there, we wouldn't have won 7 games this past year. And I think it was good for our young players to see, man, just because he was just such a gritty, tough player. And maybe because he went to Michigan, he became that type of guy.
You knew that already, Rod. But who's the one on the roster who's going to step in this role? Who do you think, from your position, looking out at the guys who are on this team who can fill that role?
Well, we have Nate Allen already there. Then we signed Carl Joseph. And Carl Joseph is a very instinctive player. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Earl Thomas, Bob Sander type player. Mm-hmm. And if we can get him to play, to that level, he's going to be really good for the Silver and Black. Then we moved a guy from our corner spot, Keith McGill, to a safety spot. He's very rangy. I think he can be a really good safety in the National Football League. And then we got some other young guys who are starting to get a feel for who they are and how good they can be.
You ready to move to Vegas, Rod? Ready to go?
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
That's kind of catchy.
Kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, Roderick? Doesn't it?
It is, but if we could stay here, that'd be great. I've been here in Oakland for 14 years, 15 years now, and wouldn't want to leave. But if Mark Davis felt that he needed to move his organization, then if you want to coach and you want a job, you're going to move. So how would you move?
I hear you. So what's your game? I've played blackjack with Dion before. But do you have anything like that in your rod?
I'm a poker guy.
Well, that I know too. That I know.
I'm a poker guy. I like playing blackjack, but I like playing poker.
Okay.
Because in blackjack, you get on the table and you can get somebody to mess your hand up because they don't know how to play poker. Say blackjack. Where poker, the cards are what they are.
Mm-hmm. You two guys.
Yeah.
So people on the table can't mess your hand up.
I remember, Rod, when we were working together, I was with once upon a time, I had you there, you and Lincoln. Nobody had a better poker face than Lincoln Kennedy.
That's right.
Rod, nobody.
That's right.
Nobody. He would just look at you and you'd fold. That would be it. You're out.
You can't put them all in all the time. You get out too fast.
Right. Rod, I miss talking to you, and this Hall of Fame Academy sounds incredible. And ProFootballHOFacademy.com is how people can nominate somebody to attend this invite-only premier scouting and educational event this summer in the Call to Hall scouting campaign. at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thanks for calling in, Rod. Appreciate it.
All right, tell the family I said hello.
You bet. Same back at you. That's Rod Woodson.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.